And go, let me go. Ba da ba 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 ba. Ba da ba ba ba. Ba da ba ba ba. Like a motherfucking smack. Body ya, body ya, body ya, ya. All right, what's up with it?
Buenos dias, Gunners Collective. Back at it? You already know. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Yeah. Rest in peace. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. OG sbone. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Bye-ya. 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 E-I-E-I-E-I-E-I. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Man, as you can tell by that thumbnail right there, let's get into it. Now, I dropped something immediately when I heard the news about sbone passing away on the collective clips. But I had to sit back for a day of reflection, man. I had to sit back, really look at all the spills everybody was doing on YouTube and kind of piece together what happened. You know, why this tragedy happened to someone like sbone who was trying to make a positive change in his life. Now, for those of you that don't know who sbone was, he was from neighborhood 40s, rolling 40s out of LA, Los Angeles. A very well-known individual from that section. Okay, he wasn't no slouch. Let's just put it like that. He was really in the mix at one point in time and was really well known right here on the YouTube streets. You know, when it comes to YouTube, there's been a lot of things that have happened. You know, a lot of people that were murdered, a lot of people that do the back and forth and say a lot of things and have people really looking at them a certain way. You know, you could start out right here when you first start on YouTube. I remember when I started, I took off and it was all good, right? And then little by little, people started chipping away and talking shit and disrespecting and it just somewhere along the lines, man, it didn't become what it once was. It became something totally different. This platform didn't become a platform of positivity or didn't become a platform to, you know, speak your mind and tell your own stories. It became a platform of exposing or a platform of ridicule or put people in dangerous situations or talk a whole lot of shit for no other reason than people love the drama and people want to, you know, see another man fail. That seems like the number one thing nowadays. Instead of seeing a man come up and get a bag and seeing a man win, everybody wants to see the next man fail. Everybody wants to see the next man hurt, you know, because then we could talk about it for a few minutes or a couple days and then we move on. We press on and we forget about those fallen people. We forget about those guys' lives. We forget about, you know, their family that's affected, their homeboys, their neighborhood that's affected. No one cares about any of that. They just want to talk about the here and now and then say la vie and here we go. Bang, bang. Let's go to another topic. But that's not what I want to do. You know, I don't want to dwell on the bad aspects of sbone, what people were saying, you know, the drama. I want to kind of focus more on the life of a man, you know, that's no longer here with us for one reason or another. Now, I've been hearing a lot of different stories, and I'm going to talk about a couple of the conspiracy theories I've been hearing. What I've been hearing is that this man, you know, involved himself in a robbery out there in Sacramento. And of course, it didn't work out for him quite well. Then I also heard that he was the victim of a robbery that didn't work out for him quite as well. Whatever the case may be, man, ultimately, he was murdered. You know, he was killed for one reason or another. Now, a lot of people are speculating it's because of bad paperwork, or they're speculating it was because of who he was hanging around with, or because of his attitude, his nonchalant attitude to kind of like put things in the past and move forward. And now you have to understand, when you were living that gangster life, if you've moved past that, if you've elevated past that, it's kind of a hard speed bump to go over, right? It's not something people take lightly. That old motto, blood in, blood out, that's quite real in most situations. You know, it's a pick 'em and choose 'em type world we live in. Some people can start gangbanging when they're young and just say, you know, this is not for me, man. I want to have a family. I want to move on. I want to do something positive. And they just move on with their lives and everything's good. Everything's good. No one trips on them. Hey, what's up, camarada? What's up, homeboy? And it's all love. And some people, everybody wants to get them. Everybody has something to say about their situation. You can't tell a man what to do if you're not wearing his boots. Okay, you can't tell a man where he's been if you weren't there with him. You can't tell a man where he's going if you're not in front of him leading the way. People need to understand that when people are trying to make a positive change for themselves or whatever they're into, man, they're leaving the old idealisms in the past behind. People that tend to fucking bring that up and drag it back are people that fucking don't know where they're going in life. They're all mixed up. Or again, they have an agenda, man, and that bag, seems more than that man. It's worth more to them than that man's life. It's a cutthroat world we live in. Now, this guy was killed in Sacramento, sbone. I've told people about Sacramento time and time again. I said, don't go there if you're not from there, right? I guess sbone had a lot of family in Sacramento, from what I'm hearing. So he frequented that area quite a lot. They found his body in Rio Linda, which is a little suburb, a little outskirts of Sacramento, right off 14th Street. Now, one of the theories I'm hearing, I'm going to put it out there. I don't know if anyone's heard that. But this right here is something that rings true to me, right? And I don't know. You take it for what it's worth. I'm not just spreading fucking lies and rumors. This is something I heard from a factual person, from someone that's really out there in them streets like that. And you might hear it here first, right? But from what I heard was that sbone was contacted and told that they were going to give him 10 bands to do a podcast. And that this man showed up to this podcast, or thought he was showing up to this podcast solo. And before he got there, he was told, no, we're not doing it in this building. We're going to do it at this house. And so he wiggled over there. And then, of course, when he got there, I don't know if these guys intended to rob him, if it was a setup from the gate, if they had some animosity or there was some, money on his head or whatever the case may be. But he went over there and he lost his life. Now, one thing about this, and I don't know this to be true. I'm just saying this is a story that was told to me. There's a lot of different stories out there. Take it for what you want. But that was what was told to me. Now, facts. YouTube is dangerous. When you decide to get on these platforms and speak your mind or tell your stories, you might tell a story that someone forgot about years ago. And then you make them recollect that. Oh, now their recollection's good. Now they're like, oh, so you're the one, motherfucker, right? You're the one that was out there wiggling like that, doing that damage. Okay, and now they're feeling some type of way 20 years later. And it could come back to bite you in the ass. It could come back to get you. I'm not saying this is the case with sbone, but I was seeing a lot of people pointing a lot of fingers in his direction. When I first seen him on YouTube, I had heard of him. I had heard of him in CYA when I did time. His name was ringing bells. And so when I first seen him on there, I was like, so this is the sbone. I finally put a face to the name. And I started to watch his content and realized that what he was an OG with a whole lot of game that had been around for a very long time, did prison stints in the feds, in the state, was out there on the streets establishing things, kicking it with his homies, really, really rocking, really didn't move out the hood, really was in the hood, right? But he had a positive attitude. He was a big pusher towards black and brown unity. He had a lot of old school ways and the mentality was real. This was someone that I could sit back and listen to, sort of like Dubs, man. His words were well thought out. They were well placed. He was methodical in the way that he talked. Most OGs, and you could recognize this if you've been anywhere, they think about what they're going to say before they say it. They already know what they want to talk about, but they choose their words wisely and correctly. And there's always a lot of people saying they talk faster, because we live in a very fast world. We live in a world where everyone's trying to get somewhere. They ain't got time. Homes, they just want to hear what they got to fucking hear and push. But that ain't always the case. Anyone who really knows what's up, you open your ears, sit back, cruise, that's it, and you listen to what's going on. sbone was one of those people. When he spoke, his words were felt and heard. It boggles my mind and it's tearing me up inside to think, damn, what happened during this guy's last moments? No one was there, so no one could tell you besides the shooter or shooters and sbone can't speak on his behalf. I'm sure a lot of his homeboys from his neighborhood are feeling, they're feeling it this morning. They woke up and they still can't believe it. Wow, what happened to sbone? I'm saying the same thing to myself. That's why I decided to do this video. I needed to get shit off my chest, to express a feeling. Yesterday when I spoke, It was like a zombie, man. I was just telling you the breaking news and telling you what I had heard right from the gate. A lot of things changed in the meantime, in between time. A lot of different theories came out and a lot of different speculation, a lot of different details. I seen Dirty Weather 916 pull up, to the spot and leave flowers on the memorial. I've seen a lot of people express, and tell some of the older stories about sbone. I've seen a lot of people make comments that they just didn't give a fuck, or good, another gangbanger gone, or good, he had that coming, or nobody has that coming. Okay? Nobody should be put in a situation like that of death because of YouTube or because of things in their past. Now I understand karma's a motherfucker and it does catch up to you. When you're living that life and you're victimizing people, eventually you're going to get your turn on the merry-go-round, because it just keeps going round and round, homes, and eventually someone's going to get off and you get on. That's understandable. But it's just a hard pill to swallow to understand and know that someone you just talked to, someone that had a positive attitude, someone that was, I was planning on making moves with sbone. I was planning on interviewing him. I was planning on having more extensive conversations, picking his brain, because you don't get very many chances to talk to an OG like that. Someone with a strong mind, someone that knows what's up. You don't get that chance. You're privileged if you get that chance. Now, I know a lot of people that are not really in the gang life don't understand. They're like, fuck it, man. I'd rather talk to a doctor and learn some things about the heart. But I'm talking about the streets, homes, and learning about motherfuckers with heart. Now, Sacramento, what was he doing in Sacramento? That's the $1 million question. Did he just go up there to visit family, or was it a setup, like I said, the podcast setup? That makes me wonder, man. Or was it just a robbery gone bad? Was he trying to hit a lick and come up and it didn't work out quite well for him? You have to understand, man, it's no fun when the rabbit got the gun, right? It's no fun when there's someone on the other side of the door. If there's something, you got to understand, if there's something in there to grab, if people get at you, your homies like, hey, let's go hit this lick. Comes this easy. We're going to come up, right? Best believe that if there's something in there worth your time or your efforts to go get, there's someone on the other side of that door with something to protect that. That's facts. So if this was one of them situations where he, the wind blew and someone got at him and like, hey, let's go come up. It's an easy come up. No, nothing in life is easy. You might think it is. You might go over to TikTok and dance and think you're going to get some money and think that's easy. But you have to sometimes make yourself look like a fool. There's a lot of things in life you're going to have to go through and you're going to have to do to get that bag. Nothing in life is easy. Nothing in life is fair. Such is life. It's just something we're going to have to deal with, period. sbone definitely paid the ultimate price. Will they catch people in this case? More than likely they will. More than likely they're doing their investigation and someone's going to tell. Someone's going to say something, man. Someone's going to point the fingers in the direction of the shooters. Sacramento is not a very large area. It's spread out, but it's not very large. The community is close. Everyone is, the streets are talking, and the streets do talk. There's always going to be someone that has something to say. There's always going to be someone that's going to bring up, hey, did you hear about this and this? Yeah, I knew that and this, and it's just going to, word of mouth travels fast. Like I said, the streets talk like a motherfucker, right? Pillow talking. Pillow talk of mine. They be doing that everywhere. Now, when I think about YouTube and how dangerous it's getting, maybe let me rephrase it. Maybe his death was YouTube related. Maybe it wasn't. I've heard people say, it was because of some of the things he was getting into. And I don't want to say that. I don't want to apply that pressure and point the fingers in that direction, because I could be totally off, man. And I'm not one to spread propaganda like that. But I'm just saying, man, it's become a place where a lot of guys that do YouTube channels or pushing their positivity or their notes, man, are coming up short. We've seen Savage Studios come up short. Again, he had beef with a lot of people, ran his mouth a lot, and, they left him in the desert. There he was. Now, of course, with sbone, it wasn't necessarily a back and forth thing. It was kind of a one-way thing. People just had a lot to say about him. And it came out of nowhere. A lot of this stuff comes out of nowhere. You could be cool. And like I said, I watched sbone, and he was doing his little thing. He wasn't doing much, man. I know he went on No Pumper and did an interview with Adam 15 and a half. I know that he was starting to, do different types of, go on different platforms. And he's been doing that. He wasn't new to this. He was doing interviews. And who wouldn't want to interview, like I said, someone who was well known in the streets, someone who had a lot of respect, someone who had been there and done that. That's what we look for as content creators, as podcasters, as YouTubers. That's what we look for, is to bring you guys an exciting story, a story of realness, a story of merit and facts. And, we want to hear people's lives based on their lives. We want to hear their truth. And, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. He was one of the guys that was a go-to. Definitely an OG in the Crip game, the Rolling 40s. A lot of people like to say a notorious gang. I don't say that. I say a respected gang. I say a respected group of individuals, man, that have been doing this for a very long time. All the neighborhoods, 60s, 40s, the hundreds, Harlem's out there. I like to throw them in there because I did a lot of time with Harlem's. Any of the O's, when you're around these guys, you see that they move different. You see they come from the trenches. sbone didn't come from the suburbs. He didn't come from having everything spoon-fed to him. He came from the trenches, from the streets of LA. He was as real as they got. And when we lose someone like that in the community, and I say a community because, even dudes that are not even gangbanging anymore, it's still community, an alumni, right? We all did that one time. It's a fucking big loss. It is a big loss, man. And that's why a lot of people are speaking on it. That's why it's out there like that, But what's the truth to this? Why? Why did somebody feel in their heart they had to kill this man, to make a message be felt? No, was it just a foil robbery? If it was, shit happens, homes. Spencer is still, rest in peace. sbone is still love and respects. But hey, man, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. This ain't a safe world we live in. This is a fucking buckle up world. You better buckle up. Better wear your seatbelt, right? Because it gets tragic. Now, if this was a setup and he was placed in this certain situation or brought to this certain situation, why? These are questions that will be asked. And I'm sure the investigation will, come up with something. We'll have to tune in. What I wanted to say is rest in peace to sbone, man. Like I said, we had a conversation. That was a good man right there. Regardless of if he was hitting legs, or regardless if he was really gangbanging out there, or regardless if he had changed his life, or if he had maybe said a little too much in the back in the past, or whatever the fuck he did. None of that mattered to me. I don't judge a man by their actions of what they do in the past. I judge a man by how he treats me and the respect he gives me. If you don't do me dirty, I ain't gonna do you dirty, man. There needs to be no dirt. It needs all respect, all love. I say that old saying I told you guys a long time ago, there is no second chances in life because there never was a first one. And that's the rule I live by. That's the number one rule I live by. You can't give someone a second chance if there never was a first one, right? It's just all love from the gate, man. And if they fuck it off, they fuck it off. And man, say la vie, you push. With sbone, man, condolences again to his family, to his friends, to his hood. Rest in peace, man. That was a great man right there. That was a philosopher of our times. That was someone who definitely, man, needed his words heard. And we lost him tragically. And that's just it. People are going to make a lot of videos, like I said, look into the theories, and they're going to try to fucking steer this a whole bunch of different directions. Don't blame anybody. The blame game is over. It's not time for a blame game. It's time for a sit back, reflect on this man's life, and celebrate, what he brought into this world. His children, I'm sure, are devastated, and his family and friends, will push on, and his memory will carry on right here on YouTube. I put him in my intro. That was, me and him talked about that. That was the first time that we got in communication. He did a little spill. I dropped it as a short. He was singing, ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was sbone, actual voice, actual recording. And I appreciate the gente, man. And let's just reflect on the good times with this man and not the bad. With that being said, gente, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. Get everything that you want coming to you. Remember, at the end of the day, life is too fucking short. You just never know what people are plotting on you and thinking, or you never know what you're going to find yourself. You can go to Wiener Schnitzel right now, thinking you're going to go get 2 chili cheese dogs and a chili cheese fries, right? And get smoked right there. Then you end up like a fucking pile of sauerkraut. It's the way it goes in this game, man. The world's ugly. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive and struggle and struggle and strive for what I truly believe in. And what I believe in right now is rest in peace to sbone, man. A real one from 40s, neighborhoods.